Hi everyone, you're welcome to the fifth week of class, and I hope you all are enjoying the class. Definitely reach out to me if you have any questions or anything that needs clarification. So this week we'll be talking a little bit about the role of the government in the economy. I'm hoping this will be a brief one. So generally, the government interferes in the economy. There are different economic thoughts to this. The classical belief that the government should not interfere in the economy, that the economy will adjust itself, while the other school of thought, the Keynesian, believes that the government should interfere in the economy when there is this equilibrium. So briefly, we'll be looking at the roles of government in the economy. Basically, what the government tries to do is to help the economy, trying to provide public goods, try to help with reducing negative externalities and increasing positive externalities. We'll be looking at this also in the slides more in details. The government now in the US. So it's kind of different with different governments of different countries, but we are looking at this in the context of the US government. They help to provide legal and social framework within which the economy operates, also helps to maintain competition, provide public goods and services, redistribute income. Like I said earlier, helps to correct externalities, takes certain actions to stabilize the economy, and we have two main stabilization tools or policy, which we call the fiscal policy and the monetary policy. We'll talk a little bit about this, but we'll talk more about fiscal and monetary policy in week 9. So when we talk about competition, the government helps to regulate the natural monopolies. So natural monopolies are mostly a company or a monopoly. Monopoly is someone is a single seller in the market, a single seller of a product in the market. And we sometimes have natural monopoly, and natural monopoly is usually a single seller also, but they kind of have that leverage on their operations. For example, you have electricity in Albuquerque here, we have the PNM. So PNM is a natural monopoly, natural monopolist, because they are the only ones producing, electricity in Albuquerque, Metro Albuquerque, and other areas. So when we really talk about natural monopoly, we are talking about a monopolist that has that leverage on capital resources. Like, for example, I was talking about PNM. So it's for PNM has like the access to the grids and the infrastructure that goes into people's houses and people offices. It doesn't really make sense for any other company to build their own infrastructure and facilities to provide the same electricity. For example, if I'm living here, I'm going with PNM, and another company, let's say another company is PCN, and that's given my neighbor their power supply. It doesn't really make sense. So like a natural monopolist is usually a person, or is usually a company or a business that is the wholly seller of that product, but also have that leverage on natural resources, or a very big market that they could use as leverage in establishing their product in the market. So yeah, the government tends to helps to maintain competition, and we have in in New Mexico, here we have the Public Regulations Commission, and all around, there are always agencies, governmental agencies that help to maintain competition and to regulate natural monopolists. The government also provides public goods and services. There are a lot of public goods and services that might have not been available to us if the government have not intervened. For example, we have public health clinics, public schools, railroads, roads, and different infrastructure that the government intervene to produce this thing. So public goods, usually they are like very, very big project that needs very big money to accomplish. So the government intervening in that will help to lessen the burden on people, and people could actually enjoy the service or the good. They help to control externalities. We have negative externalities and we have positive externalities. Externalities are usually a spillover effect to the third party. So when we have two people benefiting from from the consumption of a good or service, but there is someone else that is being affected by that good or service. For example, we have pollution, right? Sometimes, you have the company producing a particular product, right? They are making money from the sales of that product, and the consumers also are probably also benefiting from the product or from the service the company is producing. So they are both benefiting, right? But the company is polluting the waters, right? Like they are dumping their wastewater into the rivers, right? And those at the downstream of that river will be experiencing the pollution. So that's like negative externalities. Like those downstream are not necessarily benefiting from the transaction of the company, and from the transaction of the company were the consumers, but they are being affected by that business, by that business transaction. So that's negative externalities. And what the government tries to do is to come in and regulate such negative externalities. We have in the United States, we have the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, looking at how to regulate the pollution in the waters, in the U.S. rivers and streams, so that everyone can live a more healthy life, right? So we also have positive externalities, right? So it's just the reverse of the negative externalities, like people benefiting positively from the transaction of, or from the business of a particular company, of establishment. Where, for example, we have the public education. People in Albuquerque tends to benefit from the establishment of CNM and other institutions in Albuquerque, right? So there's like, because of CNM, UNM, other public educational institutions in Albuquerque, then there's more development or faster development in the city, and people tends to benefit more from that from the establishment. So that's like positive externalities, positive externality. Okay, the government also helps to stabilize the economy. They do this by using the fiscal policy and the monetary policy. So the fiscal policy is usually the government trying to lower taxes and increase government spending, while the monetary policy is usually is more pertaining to controlling the supply of money and interest rate in the economy. So it's a little bit tricky and confusing. You just need to like put it in your mind, like this is how I try to understand. Like monetary policy talks about money supply, while fiscal policy talks about the other one. Like the other one is like reducing the taxes and increasing government spending. So I try to remember the monetary policy, then the fiscal policy is the other one. So don't get that confused. redistribute income. The government takes from who earns more, like they get those with higher pay or higher income get taxed more, and those with little income get the benefits, you know, get lower taxes and fees, and the money is being redistributed to those of lower income. For example, I don't know if you for those that are filing taxes, you will notice that sometimes you get tax returns, sometimes you don't get tax return depending on your income. That happens to me personally, right? So when my family, we were like living like our income is not like that much. We were getting a lot of tax credits. We are getting a lot of tax return, right? So, and the following year, I got bumped up because of some other things that I was doing then, and my return like reduced drastically, and I told my tax expert, like, what's going on here? Well, of course, I know that I get to like get taxed more, and my returns reduced. And she was like, oh yeah, because you are earning more than you earned last year, so your money, your return is lower this time. So yeah, definitely, the more you earn, the more taxes you pay, and the less you earn, and people get the less you earn, like the less you earn, then the more you get from the government. I hope that makes sense. Like trying to redistribute income. We have people on Medicaid, we have people on different different support programs, ACP, that's for your internet, which is affordability connect program, where they can definitely the government, you can apply and the government can pay your internet for they pay your your internet fee, for the month, and for as long as you are in the program. So yeah, the money is being taken from those that are getting more income and being put back into the system for those that are not really getting as high as possible. So yeah, government helps to redistribute income. Looking at economic systems, the economic system is usually just a means by which societies and the government tries to allocate available resources across geographical region in a country. So it's more of like we're trying to allocate, it's a system, it's an economic system where resources which is scarce, resources which are scarce, the government tries to reorganize, which tries to redistribute and allocate these resources in the country using various factors. We have three main economic systems. We have the pure command, we have the market, and we have the mixed. So we'll talk a little bit about that right there. So we have the market economy, which is the capitalist economy, usually is where is a system that allows the allocation of resources and the production of goods and services primarily to the forces of demand and supply in the market. It's like a freely competitive market that allow the government, they allow the market to adjust itself, they allow the market to stabilize itself by the forces of demand and supply. Don't forget that we did demand and supply for last week and the week before that, and using this or allowing these forces of demand and supply to determine or to stabilize the economy is what we know as the market economy, where you allow the market itself to operate as it should. It promotes efficiency but not equity, right? Efficiency is more like, okay, what you sell is what you buy and stuff like that, but it's not really, I mean, if you allow things to be that way, then there'll be a lot of people that will keep, getting less and less, and there'll be a lot of people that will keep getting more and more. No country has really been fully operative in regards to market economy. There are some countries that are really close, but in the context of actual market economy, there's not really a country that's actually like done that without government restriction, without government intervene at all. Some countries that are close to that are Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, and some other countries we have here in the slide. We have the command economy. This is where the government allocate all the resources themselves. Like the government is the one doing everything. The government is the one saying this is what should be, this is the good we should produce, and the government has like the full control or almost the full control of the economy. And for this we have typically associated with former communist countries of Eastern Europe and the Sovereign Union. Yeah, we have also the government of Cuba, China, and parts of Asia trying to practice this economic system. It helps to promote, in a way, it helps to promote equity, but it's not really efficient. Yeah, promote equity, but it's not really efficient. Then we have the mix. This is where you have the market forces and you have limited government interventions. And most countries, I would say most countries of the world do this. We have United States, United Kingdom, France, Sweden, and Russia. We have like a lot of countries that allow the forces of demand and supply to control the market. And also when there's disequilibrium, the government intervenes. So this is more on economic systems. Talking about monetary and fiscal policy, like I said, don't mix this up. Monetary policy is usually talking about the government. Government exerts its power to regulate the money supply and the level of interest, where the fiscal policy is the other way around, like the government's using taxes and government spending to control the economy. We have more fiscal policy. You can definitely read the slides. Yeah, this is more fiscal policy also. In the US, it's the responsibility of the Congress and the president elected officials, so definitely helps to maintain the economy using the fiscal policy. And we'll talk extensively about monetary policy, fiscal policy in week 9. When we talk about budget balance, we have taxation and government spending. When this is equal, when these are equal to each other, then we say the budget is balanced. Like you have your taxation, which is like the revenue. So the taxes equals to the government spending, and so the budget is balanced. But when we have the taxes, taxation money, the revenue gotten from taxes, when that money is greater than the government spending, then we say that the budget is in surplus. And when taxes is less than the government spending, then there's a deficit in the budget, right? So it's not really tricky though. You just need to know your taxation and the government spending. Then you know what is surplus. It's surplus, like you get more money than you spend, right? So that is surplus. You have more in your account. But when you spend more money than you receive, then you have a deficit, right? So let's take note of that. This is more on taxation also, and monetary policy. Monetary policy, the monetary policy is exercised by the Fed, which is empowered to take various actions that decrease or increase the money supply and raise or lower short-term interest rates, making it harder or easier to borrow money. So it's just controlling the money supply and also controlling the interest rate. And the Feds are responsible for this. In the monetary policy, we have the Feds, that's the Federal Reserve System, being the actor. And like I said, we'll talk more on monetary policy and fiscal policy in week 9. I hope you all enjoy your week, and definitely reach out to me when you have, if you have any questions, concerns, or you need clarification, and I'll be really happy to help you out. Thank you.